Hello everyone. Perhaps examining the hints will show whether or not Reacher Season 2's antagonists include former Special Investigator Tony Swan. Reacher, starring Alan Ritchson, has tackled highly personal cases in its first 2 seasons. In the first, he was looking into his brother's murder. In the second, he wants to get revenge on a buddy who was killed. In order to do this, he rejoins his former 110th Special Investigators squad, which welcomes back fan favorite Neagley. When they begin their investigation, they find a sinister plot involving an experimental weapon known as Little Wing. Defense firm New Age created this software, and in the 3rd episode of Season 2, the 110th learn that Tony Swan, an old comrade, is employed by New Age as well. It was suspected Swan was also assassinated since this corporation had previously killed 3 special investigators for spying on their operations. Swan's employment there, as well as the events of Episode 4, provide additional light on his possible participation and the possibility that he is really responsible for his old friend's killings. When Reacher, O'Donnell, and Neagley inspect Swan's apartment and find it hasn't been broken into, it's the first indication that Swan could be siding with New Age. In contrast, the New Age searched the residences and workplaces of other deceased 110th members, such as France or Orozco, seeking evidence that would implicate them. It's noteworthy that Swan's flat was the only location spared from this fate, as Dixon points out. That might indicate that he is involved with New Age's Little Wing plan, or that New Age was aware that Swan didn't have anything in his house that would help them heal. Reacher finds his dog's corpse as he and the others are looking around Swan's flat. This unfortunate dog, left alone in a bathroom, drank the toilet bowl dry and eventually passed away from thirst. Swan may not have cared about his dog's destiny since he was recruited by Reacher and spent years working with the 110th, but this doesn't seem plausible. Rather, Swan may never have returned home since he was either dead or taken by New Age. This would explain why the military contractor had already taken what they required from him, and his residence wasn't wrecked. Episode 4, A Night at the Symphony, features a flashback in which the 110th is commemorating a significant narcotics raid in which they found 48 bricks of pure heroin. Swan breaks the positive energy by pointing out that while they and other troops put their life in danger, the drug traffickers profit more than their pensions put together. At that point, Reacher proposes that they check Swan's vehicle, where the narcotics were loaded, when Dixon notes that the pile only contains 47 bricks instead of 48. Swan finds the brick after a little digging and says it must have come free. Neagley is skeptical of Swan's accident, even if he plays it off as a simple error. Years later, the 110th are reevaluating what he did that evening. Everyone thinks that once Swan left the unit, he set out to get wealthy by whatever means necessary, with the exception of Reacher. With any luck, Swan will justify Reacher's steadfast backing. Even though Swan is being accused of serious crimes, Reacher refuses to accept Swan's guilt. This is partially due to the fact that he personally brought Swan into the group and believes he would be held accountable should Swan indeed have any involvement with Season 2's main antagonist Langston. Although Reacher usually has a strong sense of character, as shown in Season 1 with FBI agent Picard, he is not always able to trust the right individuals. Nevertheless, it would be odd if Swan collaborated with the 110th for years without anybody ever noticing that he may become a renegade. It has been established that Sanchez, France, and Orozco were all murdered by being tossed out of a New Age helicopter. Swan could have suffered the same fate and is yet missing. After all, days passed before Sanchez and Orozco were found. Regarding Swan's destiny, Reacher Season 2 is keeping things close to the vest. Since he is not yet seen in the current scenes, Swan is either dead, working with Langston, or on the run. Had it been the latter, he most likely would have made an attempt to contact his former unit, which he hasn't done as of yet. The special investigators are seen in the opening scene of A Night at the Symphony going over the papers they found during their New Age raid. Here, Neagley discovers leaked correspondence between Swan and Marlo Burns, the director of operations for New Age. He points to a song from a Jimi Hendrix album in one email, which is really a veiled allusion to the New Age missile project Little Wing. It said that Swan talking to Burns privately rather than CCing his supervisor Langston is quite unusual. Swan may have been attempting to alert Burns about anything about Little Wing in this way, but it also seems that she wasn't trustworthy since she subsequently attempted to lead the 110th into an ambush. Swan was among the individuals on Reacher's squad who were regarded as the greatest in their respective specialties. Since everyone in the 110th was there due to their extraordinary skills, it is unlikely that Swan would have been unaware of Langston's Little Wing arrangement with terrorist weapon buyer AM if he had been working security with the man. The emails between Burns and Langston imply that Burns learned about it and attempted to either expose it or was maybe recruited by Langston. Swan seems willing to accept bribes based on his remarks that he doesn't get compensated enough for the risks he takes. Perhaps Langston bought him off to say nothing about Little Wing, and he's hiding out until the deal closes. The 3rd episode of Reacher Season 2 begins with France being brutally tortured and killed, with Langston leading the charge. Now, given their personal relationship, it would have made sense for Swan to spearhead this questioning if he was working with his employer. Swan is thus either being held captive or executed by Langston's men, or he is participating but refusing to murder his former colleague.